Hey there everyone, back with another video, and in this video we will be learning an interesting concept that I love to teach you guys about the scope of variables. Before we get started, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and also hit that bell button so that you will be notified whenever I come up with a new video. So with that being said, let me jump in and let's understand what is a scope of variables. So now guys, you need to understand first, you need to understand about a scope. Just the word scope. What do you mean by that? So in general guys, in a simplest form, we call it as a visibility. You can call it as visibility or scope, it's one and the same. So now what do you mean by visibility? So if you are familiar with Java programming language, yes, Java, not JavaScript. Of course, we are learning JavaScript in this course. So if you are familiar with Java, you might have come across with public, private, and protected, right? So something like that. So this is what we call it as scope. So the visibility is nothing but something. In our case, let me take it as a variable. So visibility of a variable. So variable can be visible in the entire script, or it can be visible in some part, only in some part of the script, right? So this is what we call it as, in simplest term, scope of variables, aka visibility of variables, right? So now in JavaScript we call it we have three kinds of visibilities. So first one is global scope, and the second is a local, and thirdly we have a block scope. So with that being said, let me jump in with the first kind, which is a global scope. So now what I'm going to do here is I will declare a variable called as sum and initialize it to 90. So now guys, you need to understand that this variable sum is a global variable. The reason is because this variable sum is declared globally inside this script, not in function, not in anywhere else. Since it is declared and defined in this script, so this is what we call it as a global variable. So now what is a global variable? Since it is declared inside the script, it is accessible and it is visible in the whole script, right? So this is what we call it as a global variable. So now I will just use it in the console to demonstrate you guys very simple form as so since it is a global variable, I will have the string and attach that to the sum, right? So now what will be the output? So it's 90, which is a global variable, right? So it can be accessed anywhere in the entire script. So with that being said, let's jump in with the local scope. So now guys, what I'm gonna do here is, instead of writing the variable and declaring the variable in the script, I will declare it in some function called as fun. Yep, again back with the fun. So now inside this function, what I'm gonna do here is I will again declare a function. I'm sorry, not function, it's a variable called as sum, again the sum, and initialize it to 900. So now guys, you need to understand that the values are different, but the variables is same, right? The name of the variable is same, but the thing here is it is not global variable, it's a local variable. The reason is because this variable sum, even though it's a same name as global variable, but it is local variable. This is because it is defined inside this function, right? So hence we call it as local variable. So now we can access this variable, which is a local one, the sum, inside this function only. We cannot access this function. No, I'm sorry for that, it's a variable, right? Yeah, variable fun. Not variable fun, it's a sum variable, right? So I'm confused with fun and sum, guys. So now guys, yeah, it's a sum variable, right? So I can't access this sum variable outside this function, and hence we call it as a local scope. So now what I'm going to do here is, in the console I will print sum. So now guys, what will be the output of this? Of course guys, it won't execute this function. The function won't be executed because we need to call that function, right? You need to remember that. So now guys, as you can see, when I call the function, the output of this line number 16 is 900. The reason is because I'm accessing the local variable, not the global variable, right? So this is what we call it as a local variable. So now with that being said, let's jump in and finish off with the last scope, which is a block scope. So now what I'm gonna do here is inside this function I will declare some kind of a block. So we call it as a block in JavaScript. So inside this curly braces we call it as a block. So now inside this block what I'm gonna do now is again I will declare another variable called as sum, and the value is 9,000. You need to remember that I'm giving the values are different for making you guys to easily understand what is local variable and a global variable. And now obviously this is sorry for that, it's a it's a block scope, right? So it's a block scope variable. So now what we call it as block scope variable is because it is only visible in this block, that's it. So I can't access 9,000 of this variable outside of somewhere else, right? So the visibility is only limited to this block. So now in the console I will just say sum. So now what will be the output of line number 19, which is a blocked scope? As you can notice, it's 9,000. It's not 900, even it's not 90, right? So this is what we call it as a block scope, right? So now by this moment I'll just have guys what I'm gonna do here is I'll just have some string attached to that, so you guys will understand that, right? So this is a block and this is what we call it as a local variable, right? So now guys, as you can see with all the demonstration, so the block is 9,000. Yeah, I'm sorry for that, I'll just have a colon over here. So now the block is 9,000 and local will be 900, the local variable, and at the last the global variable is 90, right? So now guys, by this moment of time you might have got this question popping out of your mind. So since, as I said, this is a global variable and it can be accessed in the entire program. So now you can notice here I'm printing the sum variable, but it's a local variable. So now instead of printing a local variable sum, how to get the value or how to access the global variable sum, right? You need to understand here is it's a tricky scenario where the names of the variables are same, which is in our case it's a sum, but the scopes are entirely different. So now in order to access a global sum, what you gonna do now? This is the main thing guys. So now what I'm gonna do here is to access a global sum variable, I'll just change the text so that you can distinguish between the local sum and the global sum. So now I'll just say global in fun, right? So I have got this text. So now even though I'm not changing anything in this variable sum, it is obviously the local variable sum. So now how to access a global variable sum? You need to, there are guys again two ways of accessing global variable when we have a same name in a function, right? So now what I'm gonna do here is you need to change the keyword from let to where, because guys again if you haven't understand about the let and where, I have a video of that explaining you guys about where and let, the differences between where and let, right? So go ahead and check that, you will be understanding what is where and let, right? So with the let we can't do anything, so I have changed the declaration of a variable to where. So now what I'm gonna do here is, since I have changed the variable declaration to where, I can access this variable from a window object, right? So in the window.sum, and as you can notice here the window.sum is 90, right? So this is a global variable, right? So since it is a global variable which is defined outside of this function inside of this JavaScript file, this variable sum, and again guys notice since it is used with where keyword, this sum variable will be attached to window object, right? So if I just change it again back to let, now it won't be attached to window object. As you can try with that window dot sum, there is no window dot sum even though I have, and as you can see it is undefined, right? So let, if we use let keyword to define a variable, then it will be not attached to window object in the browser, right? So and hence I have used where keyword, right? So with the help of that I can access this variable like this, like window dot sum. That's it. So now as you can notice here, boom, right, as you can notice here, global in fun is 90, right? Guys, congratulations for that, because this is what some of the most of the beginner JavaScript developers won't know this, because it is all about the scopes, right? So if we use window.sum, it means a global variable. So now again, the second kind, second type of second way of accessing a global variable is, instead of window.sum, I'm gonna use this.sum. So and hence we will be accessing, and the guys, again the result will be the same, right? Global and fun is 90, right? So with the help of this keyword, I can access some variable, right? So now guys, don't worry about this, what you mean by this keyword in JavaScript, because we haven't come across this keyword, right? So don't worry, I will be coming up with exclusive video telling you guys about all about this keyword, right? So as of now, just remember that this keyword is used to access a global variable when we have this kind of a tricky scenario, right? So this is, I hope that this is a full in-depth explanation of scope of variables in JavaScript. I have got you a best example, like the sum with the sum and with the sum, right? So since the names are same, but the scopes are different, right? This is it guys, this is it all about in-depth explanation of scope of variable. I hope that I made your day. So please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to this channel, and also hit that bell button, and please like, comment, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm very curious to see them, and I will be helping you guys a lot, right? So with that being said guys, see you in the next video.